Hey, game design students, this is part 2 of lesson 6. So there'll be a checkpoint for both of these parts because they're very different. So you did the game over already, hopefully, and now we're looking at creating a level 2 enemy waves and iterations. So we're going to introduce some new enemies that are shooting projectiles. So we are going to prototype a faster enemy type and have a meteor that the player will be avoiding. So let's scroll down here. All right, you're going to be working within your testing scene, and you'll be adding a new enemy craft to the scene. Detach it from your original template, and then rename and save as a new template. So let's get that done. So I'm going to choose to duplicate my enemy craft. So I'm going to click on it and do duplicate. And I'm going to go ahead and let's see. I need to disable the template, not disable, but unlink from the template. And then over here, I'm going to rename it EnemyCraft 2. And then I believe it said save as a new template. Yep. So we're going to right click again and go to template and new template. All right. So now you can see the particle systems there just as before, and we've got a new name. So now I'm just going to reposition the enemy craft. Okay, so now I've got two enemies in there, and when I launch it, you can see that they are both coming right at me. They're coming right at me at the same speed. Only the first one seems to have a laser attached to it. So an important note here, remember anytime you're making a change, you're going to want to right click and update your template. Otherwise, it remains as the original template. So it also mentions that currently the scripts are still shared. So we have the exact same scripts, but we're going to want to create a new script. Maybe we can duplicate the other script, and we're going to call it EnemyCraft 2. Okay, so now for the section about scripting. We will need to make sure we have a different script working with EnemyCraft 2. So currently, the script that we have attached to our both enemy crafts are our trigger script. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. So it's trigger.js. It will not allow me to duplicate my trigger.js. I was kind of hoping it would. So what I'm going to do on my, while I'm clicked on my enemy craft 2, is I'm going to go ahead and add a script, create a script, and we're going to name it trigger. Let's make sure I've got the right one. Trigger 2. There we go. Click enter. So now it should be showing both of them. And I'm going to make sure I remove the right one. What I noticed is I can only see the T here, but just if I widen the entity, now I can see that. And I'm going to remove the trigger. Now trigger 2, if I open that up, it will need to be updated to at least somewhat match trigger 1. So for now, I've got them both opened here. So for now, I can basically, just so I match it, I can basically take all of trigger 1, copy it, and I'm just going to paste it over trigger 2. So it is going to be identical. It's going to be pretty identical to trigger 1, at least for now. But if I'm going to do the copy paste thing, just keep in mind I've got to make sure that all my triggers say trigger 2. So I'm just going in there and making sure that's updated accurately. Okay, so now I've completed step 1. So now we're going to move on to step 2, upgrade our enemy. So we can choose another enemy ship type from our existing assets, or we could attach parts and make it look a little bit different. So we just want to make our enemy a little bit upgraded and a little bit so it doesn't look exactly like our original enemy. Okay, so with my Enemy Craft 2, I've imported and added Craft Speeder A. Make sure you have Model Legacy turned on. So I put Craft Speeder A into the collision and Craft Speeder A there. So now I have a slightly upgraded ship, and now we're going to move on to the laser. So now we're up to step 3, create enemy projectiles. So we're going to be duplicating our projectile and our projectile movement script, again using a number 2 after it so it all goes with our enemy ship 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate my enemy projectile 1. I'm going to unlink it from the template initially. We'll name it enemy projectile 2. And we do have the script attached to it, enemy laser script. So let's see if it allows me to change the name. It's actually the same script. Now I think in the first semester when we created our enemy laser, we did not call it projectile movement. We called it enemy laser script. So I'm going to stick with that name, and we'll have an enemy laser script 2 attached to it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove enemy laser script, and I'm going to go ahead and add enemy laser script 2. And then we should be able to do like we did before. And let's find our enemy laser script 2. Okay, so now I've got enemy laser script 2, enemy laser script. Again, I can take this and copy and bring it on over here. So I've got everything the same. It's going to add my sound, but just be sure you go back in and say this is enemy laser script 2, 2, 2, and just make sure everything is saved. I don't think I saved a whole lot of my stuff from earlier, so just be sure you Control S to save. Now if I want to make it tougher, actually I'm going to go ahead and save that projectile 2 as a template, and I can actually, if I want to, duplicate it and have 2 for the price of 1, so you could have a double laser coming from your enemy, from your new enemy. So now you can see we've got to script some movement in these lasers because we actually want this ship to be shooting at us to make our level 2 a little more difficult. So now we're going to combine a timer that we created earlier with our newly created projectiles. So we are going to have a brand new script called Projectile Timer 2. We're just keeping the number 2. There is not a Projectile Timer 1, but we want to signify that it belongs to Enemy Craft 2. Okay, so on our Enemy Craft 2, we already have a Trigger 2 script, but now we're going to add another script. So add script. Let's add it. Okay, so now we have a Projectile Timer 2 script. So we're going to go ahead and edit that script. And in the directions, it says we can use the same timer script that we've already have in our main user interface. And we want it to go at 1 second and repeat on a loop. We want the enemy to fire a projector every 1 second. So let's grab that script from our original timer script. All right, so here's our projectile timer script. And notice it's set to find enemy projectile 2. And I have 2 of those, so I think it'll fire both of them. But remember to do Control S to save. Make sure that things are saved, and let's launch and see what's happening. Okay, it looks like it is reproducing, but it's not firing, so I got some editing to do here. It is quite possible that I didn't remember to apply different things to templates. So anything that I've made a template and changed, just be sure that you're clicking apply to template, otherwise things will not update. So after messing around with my scripts, now when I'm launching, so it's coming every second, but it's coming from off in space. So that's something I've still got to figure out. But I'm going to be satisfied with where I've got from now. I've got it launching once per second. So hopefully you were able to get things to work. As always, I will be adding those new scripts to the scripting document so you can kind of check your work. I played around with the translate and tried to get it to move a little faster or slower. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied with what I've got. I will create a checkpoint for this, so do make sure that you respond to the checkpoint effectively. Take care, and hopefully this worked out for you. Bye-bye.